Welcome to my voiceover world. Hello everyone, my name is Sebastian Brandon, and today I'll be interviewing with Brittany Cox. But before I get this over with, I wanted to let you know that today's the anniversary of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So just know that it's going to be going on like that. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Without further ado, here she is, Brittany Cox.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. I like your background.
Yep. This right here is something that was crafted by me, of course. But
That is very cool. I like the puzzle pieces. I'm a big puzzle fan, so.
since I'm autistic myself. But thanks for willing to do this, Brittany.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad we could make it work. Thanks for having me.
Always. Hmm. You know, I've been wanting to say this to you, but I've been getting to know so much about you because of Fire Emblem as Ingrid. And
Oh,
yeah, and since that, I've been getting to know a lot about you and your other voices that you have done throughout the years since 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Because
oh.
because all I know is that the truth is I never knew about anime back then. But by the time the
Mm.
show One Punch Man appeared before me in 2016, it helped me open my eyes to anime and made me see all the voice actors, including you, Brittany.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, I'm so glad you found anime and One Punch Man is a great show. So I'm glad
Yes,
that's the one you started with.
yes. And it's the very reason why I am destined to become a voice actor, which I am right now. But all I have to do is get myself into auditions to many projects so that I can be casted into a real video game and anime,
It's
just
gonna
as you.
happen. It's gonna happen. I can see it. It's gonna happen. So that's so cool.
Very glad to hear it from you, Brittany. But to get started with all of this, I like to ask you a lot of questions, but for you, Brittany, you've been part of many projects for over the years, but let me ask you one thing.
Mm.
How does it feel about bringing so many different characters to life?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Honestly, it still feels unreal, right? Like I didn't know that even voiceover was a job until I fell into it. So it's so cool to be a part of so many different properties, like you said, Fire Emblem, a bunch of different animes that I've been in and video games and stuff. And so it's a lot of fun and we just get to play and I love watching people play through the games and seeing how the characters make them feel and the stories we create. So it's a lot of fun.
I see. That's what you like about it. And yet again, that leads to the most important question. What really inspired you to pursue voice acting? And what is the best decision you made so far that helped propel to your career yet to come?
Oh, that's a really great question. So everybody's voiceover journey is very different. I fell into voiceover because I started off doing theater and on-camera work. So I was doing that kind of stuff. And my now husband at the time was working at a recording studio, and I dropped off lunch one day, and his boss was like, "Hey, you're an actor, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, we need somebody to come do this line for this commercial. So get in there and do it. And I did it. And she was like, you're okay. And I was like, great, that's so cool. So that started my voiceover journey. And I ended up doing a video game called the 1-2 Switch back when the Switch first came out. And that was my first video game. And it was so exciting. And I was like, this is what I need to do. Oh my gosh. So I've been doing video games and animation and anime ever since. And the second part of your question, what has been most like helpful in my journey and all that good stuff is I wish that I had taken more classes like earlier on, like learned from voice directors and voice actors earlier on in my career because I had my theater training, and so I was just kind of fumbling along and trying to do stuff, but I didn't know that there were actually voice acting classes. So I wish I had done that earlier. I do them now, and I've done a million since first starting, but I wish I'd known about them earlier. I think that would have helped me uh, jumpstart into more opportunities earlier.
Very interesting to hear from you. And that's something I'm beginning to understand. And that's something I'm beginning to understand from everyone's perspective so far, even yours, Brittany. But now, for every actor who ever faced rejection, do you ever face rejection? And how do you handle those setbacks? And what keeps you motivated to overcome these obstacles and finally overcome these trials?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, the hard thing with acting is rejection is a big part of it. When I first got started, I didn't book anything for years. Like I auditioned and I for years and listening back, they're terrible. Like I wouldn't have hired me either. So I learned a lot auditioning. Um, and so even now, working as much as I do and having a great team and like real people knowing who I am, like casting directors and studios and stuff, I still don't book everything. A good ratio is like if you book 10% of the things you audition for, that's a really good rate. Like you're doing really well. So, yeah, rejection's very much a part of the acting profession, which is hard, which is really hard. And when I was younger, when I didn't book things or if I wasn't right for the role, I took it really personally and I used to get really upset about it. Now I've learned, because now that I do voice casting and voice directing, it's been really interesting because now I know everyone's audition is great. Like 90% of people could do the role and be really, really good. But when we're trying to put together a cast, it depends on what the other cast members sound like. Do these two characters or two actors sound too similar? Does one sound a little bit older, which makes you sound a little too old for the character? So it's all about crafting an ensemble, as opposed to just your audition. So for anyone out there listening, and for you, Sebastian, as well as you're auditioning, do your best and realize that even though your audition may be amazing, it may be fantastic, and you did a really good job, sometimes it's down to other things that you can't control. So just learning that it's not right for you and you'll get the next one, and that's okay.
I see. Thank you for giving me that information, really
Yeah,
gives me the understanding. Because
yeah.
right now, when it comes to me trying out auditions that I'm working hard on through casting call clubs, for example, I'm
Oh,
just
great.
doing my best to just practice the way I sound so that it can be all improving. In time, when the time comes, I might as well get myself into my first ever gig when the time comes. But
It's
until
gonna happen.
then, I will practice more of it.
That is perfect. That's exactly what you should be doing, using the auditions as a way to practice and get more experience. And if you book, great. If not, you're getting a ton of practice because that's what helped me, was just practicing and learning.
That's a very, very awesome thing you ever said there. Now, we shall go to the questions about the characters that you played as. But
Oh,
do you remember the first ever character you played as, like your first ever audition? And what was the experience like being that first audition?
oh, so it's funny you brought up Fire Emblem because that is the first character audition I ever got that I booked. First one. And it was my first video game audition when I moved to LA. It was the first one. And I kind of just like with everything, I kind of fell into it. I was in an acting class, and one of the other actors in the class is a wonderful voice actor. I'd known her for years as an actor. Um, and we were talking, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm new to LA." And she's like, "Oh, great. Do you have a voiceover reel, demo reel?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Send it to me." I said, "Okay, great." So I sent it to her. And she happened to be really good friends with Patrick Seitz, who voice directed Fire Emblem. And so she sent my demo to Patrick and introduced us. And he said, "Hey, I have this audition. I think you'd be good for a few roles. Come to this audition." So I went to the audition, and they had me read for a couple of different characters. And a couple weeks later, they called me and were like, "Hey, we want you to voice Ingrid." And I'm like, "Oh, great." I thought she would be like some like small character, like she'd show up, have a couple of lines, and that's it. But then Ingrid, come to find out, is a major character. And that was just, I had no idea. That was so cool and so unreal. So it was very exciting to be a part of.
That's a very interesting thing I'm beginning to learn from you. Because I just wanted to make sure so that just in case if I ever do a voice showcase for you, I just need to do it in chronological order, just like how I did for many others for 3 whole years.
Oh,
Through
wow.
Billy Kometz, through Tony Todd, through Brad Venable, through everyone on my YouTube channel, Seba's Voiceover World, through this logo. If you look up my YouTube channel and search all these videos right here, you'll
Yeah,
see it right here. And
that's
trust
so
me,
cool.
you'll love it eventually.
That's so cool. Yeah, everybody go check it out and you can see all
And
the actors.
And let me ask you one thing
Hmm.
about this director who gave you this gig.
Yeah.
I like to know who is she, and
Yeah. So,
and how is she knows Patrick Seitz? What was her
oh,
name?
yeah. So this Brina, her name is Brina. She's a Texas
Brina?
anime actor.
Wait, Brina, as in Brina Pacania, the voice of Juvia in Fairy Tale?
I believe so. Yeah,
She brought you into Fire Emblem?
she did. She introduced me to Patrick. So,
Oh,
um, which
I
it's such a small world. So, and
I never.
I had no idea who, like, I had no idea about her voiceover work. Like, I didn't know that she did all the anime and video game. Like, I had no idea. I just knew her from this acting class. So,
I never even knew she brought you in there until this very moment.
I
But I'm
know,
glad
I
you gave me
know.
this information. Thank you.
You're so
I
welcome.
I finally understand that. But I can now answer the other questions of the characters, but for
Sure.
your character, how did it feel about stepping into the role of the character Fina Hotman and Fena Pirate Princess? And what do you love most about voicing her in the anime?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked about Finna. That was my first lead character in an anime, and I got to work with the amazing folks at NYAV Post who gave me my first anime gig back in the day for Oko's Inn. So it was such a joy to do it, and it was really cool because we were still in the pandemic, so we recorded from home. And they were still working on the anime. So typically, when we're dubbing an anime, the show is done and we're just dubbing to the finished picture, right? For this project, they were still working on the animation. So sometimes we had animatics, sometimes we had sketches. So we didn't actually get to see the full show until it came out. Um, and voicing Finna was just such a dream, and the cast is fantastic. And I honestly, I've never loved a role so much as I did with Finna. So it was so funny. It's such a good show. I'm sad we only got one season, but that's okay. It was so good.
I see. So that's what you love about playing that character. Because all
Yeah.
I know is that I've gotten to know about that show in throughout throughout Toonami and stuff. Also,
Yeah.
props to Michael Certain Nicholas and Stephanie Shea for bringing you right there. And
I
that's what
know.
led to you being part of some of their anime projects that you were brought into. And yeah, that's something I'm beginning to understand so far.
Yeah, they're great. I love them both.
Yes, especially when it comes to doing some good stuff with other people, such as Casey Mongelo and everyone else.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to say to you. But about you playing your character, Ingrid Brendel Galatea in Fire Emblem must have been very excited, right? So let me ask you this one thing. What was your most favorite aspect about bringing her to life in the entire game?
Oh, that's a big question. Yeah, so Ingrid's great. It's so funny that they cast me as her because we're very similar, like very similar. She's kind of a tomboy, go-getter. She likes to work hard, and I was the same. And I think my favorite interactions that she has are with Sylvain, her best friend, where he's always hitting on girls and she's always like, "You hit on my sweet, sweet granny." And so they always have really funny back and forths. Because one of my best friends since high school, he was very much a Sylvain when we were growing up. So that was super fun to step into that and kind of like relive my high school experience. So that was cool.
Wow, I never even know that you went through that until you told me. But
Yeah.
yeah, but as you said about you being part of Fire Emblem was just a very good choice there, you know. Plus
Yeah.
props to Patrick Seiss for directing you, and credit to Brina for bringing you into F Fire Emblem.
I
And
know. I
and
know.
that's
It's
and that's
just
what
it's
led to me
great.
just respecting the entire franchise right there. Which in
Oh,
all honesty there, I I just have a desire of being part of that franchise one day when the
one
time comes.
day, one day.
Indeed. And I love that about you.
Mhm.
Hmm. So in the game Genshin Impact, what stood out about you about voicing Fischl? Do you relate to her in any way? Like
Yeah,
the way you
officials.
feel?
Yeah, official's very different. She is really snooty sometimes, which was a challenge for me to really dig into. At times when I first started recording her, I've been voicing official for like 5 years, I think, 4 or 5 years. So a long time. And the thing I love about Fischl is she's such a good friend and she's so misunderstood sometimes. Like she really cares about people, but she gets misunderstood because she speaks in such a quirky way, which is fun. And it was cool because I got to record with my friend Ben, who voices Oz, and we had worked together for years at that point. So it was cool that we got to work together as Fischl and Oz. So
Ben. You're
yeah,
talking about Ben. Are you
Ben
talking
Pro,
about Bill Makada?
Ben Pronsky,
Ben
who
Pronsky.
voices Oz.
Oh, him. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. I'm just trying to make sure so that I could completely understand. But
Oh,
thank
sure.
you.
I know there's a lot of actors. There's a lot of people, so
Yeah,
that's fair.
but- yeah. But you know something? You being part of Genshin Impact was just a very huge experience for you right there. But the best part is, I got to meet some of the people of Genshin Impact,
Yeah.
and who as it turns out, been supporting me and my stuff for over 4 years, you know?
I
And
love that.
it brings joy to my heart, honestly. And that's what led me to just keep going on my journey right there. And that's why Genshin Impact will always remain the very big franchise that shall never die until the very end.
Right? I hope they keep bringing us back for more. So we'll
Es-
see.
Especially an upcoming anime that they're in production of right now.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
if they're bringing the anime to life, so should you. Since your
I hope
character,
so.
if they do it, then you should come too. That way, it can become a big success for dubbing when the time comes.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hmm. About your character, Sonia from Pokemon. She must be a very good character to play, right? So, let me ask you this one thing. What's the most thrilling part about voicing her in the entire Pokemon Journeys anime?
Yeah, it was cool because I grew up with Pokemon, and watching the show growing up. I still have some VHS tapes of some of the movies. Um, so it was really cool that I got to be a part of the Pokemon franchise. And I think the really cool part was getting to do scenes with Ash, the voice actress who plays Ash, Sarah Natachini. She's brilliant, and it felt like such a cool experience to be a character that interacts with a character I've grown up watching. So that was really fun, and it's a great show, and um, yeah, just a joy to be a part of.
I see. That's what you love about playing that character, Sonia. Because
Mm-hmm.
all I know is that she plays an important role throughout the entire franchise right there, especially when helping out both Sarah and, of course, Zeno Robinson's
Oh yeah.
characters throughout the entire show. And I've actually seen a clip of it, which I actually used for that video that I made, the
Oh,
one that you
cool.
liked before we came here. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's something I wanted to tell you right there. But you being part of Pokemon, best choice ever. And
Oh,
that Lisa Ortiz and Christina V bringing you into it is just splendid job. And
yeah.
that's what I love about them, just recognizing the actors and just fitting them right into the characters in order to just make it better for everyone's sake.
Yeah, Lisa's been incredible with casting and directing, and she's done such a good job with the franchise, for
In-
sure.
Indeed, especially the current Pokemon Horizons, which is on
Hmm.
Netflix right now, being English dubbed recently. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's so
that's something
good.
I. Indeed, it is. Hmm. And now, about your character, Maki Gumu in Don't Toy with Miss Nagatoro must be a silly character, right? So I
Yeah.
like to ask you this. What made this role so very special to you?
Yeah, this character, so I don't typically do shows like that, but I really like Gamo. She's so funny because she's kind of like a mean girl a little bit, but she's super athletic and stuff. So that was really fun to play a mean girl. And she does a bunch of judo and stuff. So it was fun to just dive into that kind of mean girl vibe for a little bit because I typically don't do that kind of stuff. So that was super fun, and it's a hilarious show. It's not everybody's taste, which is totally cool, but it's a fun show.
Hmm. Interesting. So that's what you like about playing that character right there.
Mhm.
'Cause all I know is that you being part of the show is just something else right there. Plus, to be honest with you, the manga of the show recently got done a few months ago, and I just
Mm.
hope I just hope for it to return for its anime stuff right there. That way with that anime in touch, so should you.
Yeah, yeah, we'll
And
see.
yeah, I hope so in the near future. Hmm. So anyway, about your character, Judith Lanster in The Legend of Heroes: Trials Through Daybreak has a unique presence, right?
Yeah.
But I like to ask you one thing. What's the coolest part about bringing her to life throughout the entire game franchise?
Judith is really funny because she's an actress who is also a superhero, and she's terrible at keeping the secret of her that she's the superhero, Grim Cat. And so she's so quirky and so funny. So that's been really fun to kind of be an over the top actress and do all that while still kicking butt.
That's very interesting to hear from you. Because
Mm.
all I know is that I got to know about the game throughout because of, a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed. Now, without further ado, about your character, Amelia in Lupin the Third Part
Mm.
6, I like to ask you one thing about her, but what's the most thrilling thing about voicing her in the entire anime?
Yeah, she came in for like an episode and a half, so just like a quick thing. But she was really fun and working with the whole Lupin team and everything was really cool and it was neat to be a part of that franchise and do like a heist. So that was fun.
Interesting. That's what you like about playing that character right there. Because
Yeah.
all I know is that you and Michelle Ruff were all in together in that scene right there. And props
Yeah.
to Tony Oliver for bringing you into that franchise right there. Of Bang Zoom, of course.
Yeah. Tony's great.
Indeed, he is. Hmm, hmm. As Sugawatsu in Kotaro Lives Alone, what was your favorite moment or line that you've gotten from the character so far?
Yeah. That's such a sweet little show. I was so excited to just play a little part in it because my friends were voice directing and I just play a mom and so it I just love that show. It watching it is so heartbreaking and so sweet. So it's just cool to be a part even just a small little mom part of it.
I see. That's what you love about being in it. Because all I
hmm
know is that Michael Nicholas, Cherimi Length did a good job bringing you in there, especially when the two of them actually ironically play the two characters at the same time right there. Talking to you and even to Stephanie Shade throughout the show is just something very special right there.
Yeah, it's a special show for sure.
Indeed. And that's what led me to just supporting that and everything else yet to come. Now, without further ado, about the character you played as, Signal from Goddess of Victory Night,
Sure.
what's your most favorite aspect about being her in the
Oh,
entire game?
yeah, she's cool because she's kind of snarky, which is fun. And she she likes to tease people, which I think is always super fun to do. And so working on that project with the amazing cast was just really cool.
Well, that's a very cool sign to see from you, because all I know is that you being part of it was just a cool thing right there. And ironically, I got to meet with one of the actresses of that game, the
Oh.
one who does Minnie Mouse. So
Oh, Caitlin Robrock.
bingo.
I
And
love Caitlin.
but Bill Black, the voice director, did a good job just helping you with getting you to become the awesome character that you are right there. Hmm. About the character you played as, named Ken from Noir Automata, what's so awesome about being in that show as that character?
Yeah, so that show is very intense and so lots of fight scenes and lots of like running and kicking butt and doing all that stuff. So that's always a good time.
That's a good sign to hear from you,
Yeah.
because all I know is that Noir Automata has been around since 2017, but the anime being done since, how do I say this? Like since 2023 is where
Yeah.
it just brings very good aspects to everyone, including you. Plus, voice director, which by the name of, how do I say this? Like Greg Chun was able to do a good job bringing you right there
I love
alongside Ezra
Greg.
Weiss.
Yeah, I love Ezra and Greg are amazing. I met Ezra gave me my first voiceover job in LA dubbing a live action show and Greg I met for the first time at the Fire Emblem audition. That was my first time meeting him, which was so cool. So it's a small world.
That's a very good sign to hear from you. But I got two more questions I wanted to ask you due to the time limit right there, but
Sure.
in the show, Rainbow High, what's so
Mm,
very awesome about you being the character Bella Parker, I
yeah.
meant Bella Parker.
Oh no, that's totally fine. I love Bella so much. As a human, I am not a pink type of girl. But she is, I love her so much because she builds sets and is such a great friend. And she's also infamous because she is the only Rainbow High student to ever get expelled from school. And then they brought her back, which was so exciting. So um, that was really, really cool. So being a part of Bella and the whole Rainbow High series and Rainbow World and all that stuff is it's just incredible.
I see. So that's what you love about being in that show right there. So
Yeah.
all I know is that you being part of it was just a very good animation thing that you did right there. And plus, you talking to both Courtney Len through Jennifer Sun Bell through everyone in the entire show is just something unexpected that I'm
Yeah.
beginning to see right there. And
And we
that's what
got to
I
work with Paris Hilton as well, which was very cool. So,
and that's what I love about you guys right there. Just showing off a lot of social skills to each other and just showing that you really are just acting like if it's this is a real thing or something.
yeah.
But yeah. But now, my my one last thing I like to ask you is this, but what's so awesome when you got to be the character Mizuru Maki in M&M Warrior at the Border Line?
Oh, yeah. She was really I did her right after Finna, so it was with NYAV Post. And so she's cool because she's a mechanic and like a tough chick, and she doesn't take crap from anybody, which is fun. So that was a cool show to be a part of. It was still actiony, but like not as intense as Nier Automata, which was great.
I see. So that's what you love about being in that show right there. All I know is that Griffin Batu bringing you into that show was a very cool thing right there,
Yeah.
especially when you got to just play off a lot of steam into that character.
Yeah. And Griffin's wonderful. Such a good human.
Hmm, Bet he is. And actually, he is. Well, well, Brittany, it is such an honor to finally have you right there, Brittany. And and I just hope that one day we get to work with each other in the near future.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And congratulations on your show running for so long. You know, everybody check out all the videos and all the compilations that Sebastian's put together. And thank you again for having me. This was so much fun.
Of course. There's one more thing before you go. When people look back on your work,
Hmm.
how do you want to be remembered as a voice actor?
Oh, that's a big question. I think I when looking back on my work, I want people to relate to all the characters that I do, that it like touches their heart in some way or helps them through a difficult time or makes them feel seen or heard and like they're not alone. That's something that's always so important for me. And I know when I'm watching things, that's what I always look for in characters that I relate to and actors I relate to. So I hope I can do that for other people.
That's a good thing to learn from you right there. But in all honesty, there, when it comes to seeing some characters that piques my curiosity, they basically, some of the characters I've seen in some animation and stuff, they basically have the aspects of my personality when it comes to the way I feel and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up. And
Yeah, it's
thank you for that.
important. Yeah, well, thank you for that great question. That was a really good one.
It's what I do best, always.
For sure.
Well, Brittany, it's such an honor to finally meet you at last. and I hope we work together when the time comes.
I hope so too. I'm so excited for your journey and, keep up the good work and it's going to happen. It's totally going to happen. So really, really great work with the podcast and the show and with your auditioning. And, hopefully we'll be in something in the future together.
Trust me, it will happen eventually, and I promise you, with all of my heart, I will get there.
You will. Absolutely.
Thank you, Brittany, and I'll be seeing you around on social media, my friend.
Sounds great, Sebastian. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Want to keep up with my journey? Follow me on social media for more updates, behind the scenes moments, and all the fun along the way.